I call it mind energy. It is the thoughts you think, the images you visualize. Are those things, are you clear? Are you on purpose? How is your time management? All of these things, the way you think about things are either going to overwhelm you or enhance your energy. Communication is approximately 10% words, approximately 30% tone, and about 60% body language. Low status mammals make themselves small. They don't want to be seen, they don't want to be eaten. They speak quickly, that they move quickly, and they want to get in and get out before they get eaten. So that's something to think about when you're in the Zoom room.
Hello. Today I'm happy to host in my podcast Susan Treadgold. She is a tremendous woman who made herself like a businesswoman, investor, and who wrote several books. The most famous book is Success University for Women in Business and The High Performing Woman 52 Take Action Tips for Greater Confidence, Energy, and Impact. She spent 20 years in investing banking business and she knows everything about founders. She helped hundreds of founders to prepare for fundraising and to actually raise capital. So I expect very interesting conversation with Susan today. Hello, Susan. Thank you. Thanks for coming to my podcast.
Thank you, Leon, for having me.
That's amazing. So I expect very interesting conversation. But I would like to know more about you. Who are you actually? How did you come to investment banking? And how did you come to writing books specifically for women to help women in business?
Yeah, so gosh, where do I start? Um, I'm from Detroit, Detroit, that fine French city, and therefore I was kind of born in the car industry. My father was a car executive, and a couple of internships I had in college. One was at Chrysler, and the other was at um, General Motors in Germany. And I studied abroad, and I'm fluent in German. So I had this sort of German and car background, and uh, I early on became a car analyst at a boutique investment called DLJ in New York. And then I quickly got an offer with Morgan Stanley in London to cover the car companies, the German car stocks, because back then they would have the analyst meeting in German first and then in English second. So whenever they had the results, the Germans had a 1 hour leg up on what was going on, and you could already see how the results were for, what was happening in the DAX. And so I started off as a German auto analyst, which was it was super fun job, you know, meeting, the car companies and test driving the cars. And later on, I went into institutional equity sales, and I, did a lot with selling IPOs, and then I ran corporate marketing for Citigroup for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and I was kind of the go-between between investors and the listed companies, and helping them market themselves, market their capital raises, etc. So that's kind of my investment banking background, and then Yeah.
It's supposed to be very interesting job. It's hard job, but it's very interesting because you should cope with so many things at the same time. It's marketing, investing, capital management. Not easy.
No. And during 2008, um, during, the huge market turmoil, um, I got an offer to, to leave the, uh to leave Citigroup. And if you remember December 2008, this share price had gone from $55 to under a dollar, and the headlines in the paper were, "Is it too big to fail?" And so, they were, offered a special, deal for people who put their hand up. And so I took that opportunity. To be honest, I was thinking I was going to just go work at another bank, but I used that opportunity. I had started a master's in corporate and executive coaching while I was at Citigroup because I had a large team and I thought it would make me a better leader. But I never had time to finish the dissertation. So after I left Citigroup, I did that, and at my first interview at another bank that was headhunting me, they asked, "Well, what have you been doing since you left Citi?" And I said, "Well, funny you should ask. I just completed my master's in corporate and executive coaching." And they're like, "We need coaches." And I'm like, "Shut the door." And
Yeah.
I ended up getting my first job coaching before I even had a business card or a website. So therein began my new career in executive coaching, which then evolved into all sorts of things, writing books, teaching master classes, lecturing at universities, um, doing leadership training, and then I got a high performance coaching credential. And all through all of that, I, just as I was leaving, just after I left investment banking, I found out that I had breast cancer. So, I had got quite burnt out.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I, approached it as an investment banker, researching all the ways to heal yourself. And I just realized that traditional standard of care, chemo, radiation, surgery was not for me. And I really got into the health and longevity space and attended so many conferences and really started to build a network there. And I'm really passionate about um, helping founders in the health and wellness and longevity space, particularly um, with with pitching, presenting, positioning themselves. Um, and strategic lead generation, both investors and business for them. So that's what I like to support, and I'm also happy to say I'm 100% okay and no more cancer.
Good for you.
So yeah,
I heard that cancer survivors, they just sharp their senses and intuition. Is it right?
that their intuition and senses are sharpened. I
Yeah.
never heard that before, but I do feel
Well, what do
like
you feel? What do you feel?
yeah, I do feel that. I do feel like that. I feel like it was I mean, I don't it's a hard concept to share with some people that are going through it, but for me, I thought it was a gift. I call it the gift of cancer, and I feel like it somehow woke me up. And it also, you know, my body had been telling me for years, you're burning the candle at both ends. And it was really, it took cancer to get my attention.
Oh, that's amazing. So, how did you use your new capabilities or abilities to create your business? Fundraising business, coaching business, as I understand, you do together. You have fundraising, and definitely, if you bring 100 investors to founder, and founder is not ready, doesn't have charisma, doesn't know how to pitch, just do some simple talk, it doesn't help. You can bring him to 1,000 investors. He won't raise anything. So you have to coach founder before bringing him to investor. So how you complement coaching, your culture background, sharpening of your senses, yeah, and the intuition and the fundraising, actual fundraising.
Leon, I think everything is energy, really. Uh, a- and um, it is the number one common factor behind success in virtually anything. And I created a model in my book, The High Performing Woman, about how to there's a energy wheel, and to figure out what boosts your energy in each area and what decreases it, because I think a lot of founders, um they're doing so many things, they're wearing so many hats, and one of the reasons they fail is that they burn out. And so, um, energy influences so many things. It can influence your executive presence. I do a lot with executive presence and how people show up full of energy, ready to bring their A game. I mean, that's what I would want to see as an investor, not somebody who's pulled consecutive all-nighters and struggle to complete a sentence because they're so tired. Um,
That's very interesting subject because I recently invested in a very interesting company. They developed, so it's called alter ego. They developed some engine that reads your energy for the day and night and support you in time when it matters the most, to help you, to motivate you to make your job. So just follow exactly the pattern of your energy, and I would say nudge in appropriate time. That's very interesting, and I like this subject very much.
yeah, I just did a TED talk, TEDx talk on it. It's called Fix Your Flat Tire, how energy transforms your life. And I did that in Florence, Italy. In fact, I think it's coming out this week. So this is well timed.
Oh,
I mean, a little bit Italian, right after it. Like, when is it going to be published? 2 weeks or 3 months. So it's closer to the 3 month mark now. So it should be coming out any day. I see some of the other people that spoke at it came out. But what I was trying to share in that is that everything is energy. So how
and you actually you can manage it if you know exactly how to do it and how to manage it. You cannot manage energy from the energy because it's fixed. You can get energy from the goal. If you set up the goal, if you know what you're going to do, if it has a purpose, you can dramatically enhance your energy.
absolutely, people that are very purpose driven, that gives them energy. So, some of the areas that affect our energy are what I call connection energy, how we interact and communicate with others. Are you an energy angel or an energy vampire? I mean, a lot of the reasons why startups fail are the people that they put around them. And do they bring out the best in the people around them? Or are they poor leaders? So energy impacts everything. So, poor leadership, it's going to be constant bickering, confrontations. All of that is going to take down their energy. So when I say at the root of everything, it really is energy. There is
So, Luz, how do you use energy in your methodology of coaching or fundraising? So, are you using energy? Are you using these some tricks? How you do?
yeah, there's all kinds of, I mean, so the number one thing for energy is really your foundation, the air, food, water, light, sleep, supplements that you put into your body. So if you're dehydrated, poorly nourished, not getting sunlight, not practicing breathing. All of this is that's the number one thing to burn you out. Then I call it mind energy. It is the thoughts you think, the images you visualize. Uh, so, are those things, are you clear? Are you on purpose? How is your time management? All of these things, the way you think about things are either going to overwhelm you
Hmm.
or enhance your energy. So I take people through my energy model, and then the connection energy, finding out the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Are they enhancing your energy or draining it? And taking the first step yourself, because you can't change other people, but you can change how you show up, which will allow them to show up differently as well. So, um, then we have move energy. Uh, and this is not just exercise, but it's also posture and body language, and being aware of how that energize the mind body connection and how that will enhance your energy and take it away. There is space energy, which is your environment. So, from the things that you see in your visual environment, the ergonomics of where you are working, even the things that you wear. I mean, we all know now that polyester, you know, lets off microplastics into the body, which is an endocrine disruptor,
Yeah.
which lowers your energy.
Well,
Uh, so thinking about wearing natural fibers, cotton, silk, linen, it's very technical. I have like in each category, there's so many things to consider. And so what I help people do is create their own energy blueprint, and have a personal energy plan of, and what gets done what gets measured gets done. So I have like help people to start stacking new energy habits, like little things. Uh, one of the things that I love is the 5 penny habit. And what that is, this is about connection energy, is to start the day with 5 pennies in your right pocket. And by the end of the day, they need to get to your left pocket. And the only way a penny can go from your right pocket to your left pocket is by praising, acknowledging, expressing gratitude to somebody.
or going to
Yeah.
magician.
Huh?
Or going to magician.
Yes, or go to a magician. Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Um, but it is a magical result. So if you are consistently praising, acknowledging, expressing gratitude to 5 people a day, either in person, by text, by a phone call, that doesn't just energize them, but it'll tend to energize you. You'll feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I know that if you smile, you change your mood
Chemistry.
immediately and chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this is one of the methods. And what kind of other methods are you using? So, for example, I come to you, I am serial entrepreneur, and yeah, I raise capital, but every time it happened differently. So every time, different time, people become older, and each fundraising is something different. You never
That's right.
full prepared to this. So do you have any method that could give people to understand dynamics from moving from one investor to another, from one fundraising round to another fundraising round that happen in different times with different people? So,
Company, there's options there. That's a and there's so many different types of investors as well. But um before what I like uh people to do, and founders to do before they meet with any investor, like, some of them can be very prone to just like, "Oh, hi, here's my pitch deck," and they just compete and immediately launch into the pitch deck. Um, I think it's better to do what I say 5 minutes before, to do something what I call is a quick, um, a quick pre-pitch. And what you do is you make sure you have a personal story. Storytelling is very important because people learn differently through stories. You know, our brains light up differently on an MRI when we're about to hear a story.
Yeah.
So think about a story and then also think about the investor that you're going to be meeting with and think about what questions will they have. Now, they will have two types of questions. They will have questions that they will probably ask when you think about it from their point of view, what type of investor they are, what type, do a little bit of background on them, like what is important to them. Like think about the questions that they will definitely ask. And then um think about the questions that they will have but won't ask. And they won't ask these questions for two reasons. Because it'll either make the founder embarrassed or look stupid, or it will make themselves, maybe they'll think it's a silly question and that they should know the answers, so they won't ask it. So questions like they may be snarky questions like the founder, like, "Well, why do you think you can do this? You're not even a doctor." Or "Why do you think you can do this? You've never had any management experience." Or those are the questions they may have in their head but won't ask. But if you can be a mind reader and say things like, "You may be wondering why I think I can do this when I don't have this particular background." Or, if you can be a mind reader as a founder and answer those questions, that can be very powerful, as well as instead of just jumping straight in, you can start off with like, "Well, what's important to you?" I have a few things that I think you might be of interest to you before we get into the pitch deck, or how do you want to discuss this? How do you want to go straight into Q&A instead of just jumping in, like tailor it to what they want.
I totally agree with you. As an investor, I always pay attention on the first milliseconds of our meeting. How founder look at me, or down to the floor, or up to the ceiling. I don't know how in yeah, what kind of eye contact it happens, because if eyes just down, it's a red flag for me. So my conscious mind immediately read it, and it looks like decide not to invest. So all the conversation, just justification by logical brain, what my unconscious brain just decided. So this is what I found. So the first thing I try to help founders is how to start conversation with investor, how to get with investor into the elevator, and how to start elevator pitch, how to say the first words. So even there is a quadrants called fundables. In these quadrants, in a space of people, consist of charisma multiplied by momentum. So if there is a momentum in the business coincides with charisma, this startup becomes fundable. If there is only momentum or only charisma, it's a not big problem, but it's a problem.
Find charisma, or how do you think it's a teachable thing?
Totally teachable. Charisma is teachable, and I think you do this. You know better than me how to do it. And momentum is achievable.
Right. Okay. So, but that you said that was a quadrant. What are the other two things? Charisma, momentum. What are the other two things?
And danger quadrant. When you don't have danger quadrant, danger space, where you don't have either charisma or momentum.
Oh, I
It's
see.
a dangerous place to be.
Okay.
So when I start talking to founder, I immediately just automatically put this founder in some quadrants. And then all the conversation just based on this.
So you want to be in the quadrant with charisma and momentum, but sometimes they may have charisma, but no momentum. Other times the momentum, but no charisma. I see.
Yeah, if they
That
have charisma, I call it they have some God blessed because they have charisma. They know how to think, how to talk. So actually, charisma wins over momentum usually. But together, this founder becomes unstoppable.
right. I love that. That's a great way of thinking about it. And
A
I
new method for you. I just share it for free. New method.
yeah, thank you.
Coach, of course.
Uh, and and there's also some tips. Maybe and I can even give you a tip right now
Wow.
for free.
Wow. Let me
Okay?
have it.
Do you know that communication is approximately 10% words, approximately 30% tone, and about 60% body language? Okay? So that's why there's a lot of misunderstanding in emails and texts because you don't have the tone, the vocal tone, and you don't have the body language and facial expressions. Okay? So, I'll just give you an example. Leon, I love you. Versus Leon, I love you.
I like your example.
Sa- Same words, same words.
And change my mood immediately.
But you change the tone
Yeah.
and the body language.
When you said in a good tone, just my expectation raised.
Yes. So how do we maximize this communication? A lot of pitches are done via Zoom. So what I suggest you do is own the Zoom, maximize the communication. And so right now, for me, you can see my hands. You can see my full body, like, okay? So what there's an important thing to see, and it's subliminal, is this body language. Mammals, alpha animals take up more space, like elephants, gorillas, lions, tigers, bears. Okay? So you want to take up space in the Zoom
Yeah.
room. The other thing is they uh low status mammals um make themselves small. They don't want to be seen, they don't want to be eaten. They speak quickly, that they move quickly, and they wanna get in and get out before they get eaten. So that's something to think about when you're in the Zoom room. So right now, I have the top of my head, I still get my full focus, but I get to see something very crucial, and you don't see it so much with this shirt, but if I would, like, tighten the shirt, what is important to see is your what I call your wings. Okay? When you are confident, you have wings. When you are nervous, you are clenching in
Yeah.
and guarding your vital organs. And you will see people like at networking events and they're standing like this. The confident ones just have their hands like, maybe clasped by their belly button, just standing there confidently with their legs hip width apart. Whereas other people, I'll give you an example. It's kind of like, you know, you can see someone at a networking event standing like this, all sincere versus someone just like, "Hey, nice to see you." Like, how different does that look?
And usually I put something what I prefer not to hold something because it's also some sign of dependence.
Right. Yeah, people can go like this, and they can be standing there. It's like a shield.
At the university, Tessa. It happened to the
Bl-
university. Yeah.
Yeah, it subliminally lets you know that people know that you're not confident. And you can see people on stage clenching in. I call it doing the mermaid. They're sitting there doing the clicker like this and instead of, being more confident. So one of the tips is for owning the Zoom room is to actually show your wings and actually so you want to have a little bit of your torso so you can also see the body language of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And um some of the things, like when you're making strong points, you wanna make them palms down or sideways, not up. Because if you say things like I'll just give you an example. "This is the best strategy," versus, "This is the best strategy." So, when you do a slight tilt down, it's called the predatory gaze. Um, you do light to and the palms down. It's almost like a school teacher. "Listen here, young man." It gets people's attention very subliminally. But if you do palms up with the head tilted, especially if it's tilted back, this means without volume, it means, "Is it okay with you?" Or, "I don't know." And that diminishes your authority. So I help people with body language as well and how that can be um, they can be more powerful in their communication.
Wow, Susan, you are great. You are great.
No, the times you wanna use, palms up into the side is when you're expressing empathy or saying, "Hey, welcome everyone, great to see you."
Welcome is the best way to do it. Yeah, when you're welcome. You cannot say welcome. Welcome, guys. Your place is here. Your place is here.
No, no, welcome. That would be horrible. So
Yeah, that's very interesting.
but a lot of people will just say, "So, we're thinking of doing this," versus, "This is what we're doing." It just can totally changes with the body language, it changes the
Well,
subliminal.
also, I would like to know what I'm doing wrong, like investor in the meeting with founders. So, could you tell me about red flags that could scare founders?
I mean, there's so many. Um,
Wow.
I notice with a lot of people I wanna work with, they often have a solution looking for a problem. They haven't really fleshed out the market need and really proven that there is a need. Like a lot of times they seem like great ideas, but will people actually buy them and use them? Uh, so they may not be focused enough. That's another thing that I find that drives investors away, a lack of
No,
focus.
no, no. What drives founders away from investor? What is my mistake like investor? Or I'm doing in a meeting with founders. So not what drives investor from founders, what drives founder from investor. What the red flag founder just to, could see during the meeting with investor that tells the founder, okay, it's not good investor. I am not aligned. So what kind of mistake I'm doing during the meeting?
Yeah, like setting up a win-lose scenario, really crushing the founders and over negotiating to the point that it's a win-lose scenario. I think being a little bit too aggressive in the meeting and putting the founders on edge. I mean, I've seen some real arrogance on behalf of investors and not not putting the investor at ease to bring the best of their presentation out and their ideas. I think also maybe I don't the investors that I work with are very purpose driven and uh if the investor is only in it for a quick buck and doesn't really believe in the mission and aren't able to support them, that's another, I think, red flag.
Okay. Yeah. This happens. I think you're totally right. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes when I have some bias against the founder or something like this, it happens even unconsciously. I have the bias and I behave somehow like arrogant. Yeah, I think everybody has some meeting like this, and yeah, thank you. That's very important to create algorithm. For everything, I create algorithm. If I make mistake, I get back home, and the first thing I'm doing, I create algorithm how to avoid this mistake next time. So I really see this situation, and okay, I remember algorithm. Okay, how I get out from this situation immediately. And this is for everything, for for personal life, for business life. Okay, so we are coming to the last part of our conversation. And I would like to ask you about your forecast, your vision of future of capital market, specifically for startups. Because you know what's the problem I see today, demand for the money in 3 times bigger than we have supply, and not because of we have lack of money, because we have actually lack of good startups. Everybody who get fired from Apple, from Microsoft, fired 15,000 people recently. What people do? Write Microsoft in their bio and make startup and going to raise capital and in pitch deck to it's written Microsoft. Yeah. So this is what happens. So what to do with all these people who are gonna make startup and how capital should react on this?
Hmm. I don't think that there's a lack of good startups. I mean, maybe you're seeing something different. I think there are a lot of good startups out there, and I think investors are overwhelmed. Like, I hear statistics that, they see sometimes like 1,000 pitches and maybe choose 3 or 4. So it's the overwhelm of going through so many. I guess then that proves your point that there's a lot of low quality ones.
Mhm.
How do you find those gems? Um, I also think, particularly in the health and longevity and biotech space, there has been a lot of macroeconomic uncertainty. A lot of NIH grants have been pulled. And so there's been a lot of really great ideas that are withering on the vine because, they've started, they may have already had their seed funding and then, you know, things have dried up. So I think there's a lot of idea companies out there where perhaps investors can step in and fill that funding gap that has been created.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think
r-
finally, it should be some love that connect people, love in general, right? Connect people, make people understand each other. So I like investor, I love my job. Not like, I love my job. And this love just goes to the people I am talking to about this stuff. So, and this is, I just recalled interesting saying I would like to share with you that humanity exists not for love, exists out of the love to make more love.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I will thank you very much for visiting my podcast. I had amazing conversation with you. I'm still under impression, and hope we will do it again. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. Good luck and have a lot of love in your life.
Thank you. Thank you.